Creative Assembly officially announced the Shadows of Change DLC yesterday, and I don't really have much to add to the conversation. I'm sure other channels are covering the details in perfect adequacy. Just to tell you guys that, of course, I will be bringing you some sweet multiplayer content from the new update as soon as I am able to. Today, we're back in the old 3.1 update, and we're here with Tzeentch versus the Vampire Coast, submitted by the Vampire Coast player. I don't remember exactly who this is. It's one of the night crew members, I want to say. We'll see at the end. But anyway, Noctilus is teeing off already with some deck gunners, blasting away. We've got halberd mobs and Bloody Reaver depth guard with some pistol mobs in the back. And it looks like a couple up front as well. Some deckhands, a couple of dual hand weapon depth guard also. For Tzeentch, we've got some screamers and some furies out on the flanks here. And then plenty of blues and pinks, it looks like, to try and counter-skirmish the Vampire Coast. Kind of the classic strategy for them. Front line of some Marauders for meat shields. So I can't say I've actually played this matchup a whole lot. Vampire Coast is one of those factions that, while they are very strong, you don't see people playing them terribly often. So I don't have a lot of experience in casting or playing in a lot of their matchups personally. But here we're going to see the Tzeentch player kind of hanging back, wanting to shoot a little bit. Depth guard is going to come forward and try and mess up these Marauders, but will find themselves subject of a massive amount of focus fire. I believe, is that the new Plague of Rust? Yeah, new effects for Plague of Rust. So, despite that though, I mean, it really didn't do a lot to them, and they are just going to absolutely murderize those Marauders. And, I mean, yeah, Invocation of the Heck plus their own hunger, and they should be able to heal through quite a bit of that damage. Meanwhile, we've got some spawns being summoned in the backline by the Chaos Sorcerer Lord here. We've got some Furies as well, trying to get onto the deck guns, but kind of failing to do so as they're screened by some zombie halberds on both sides. Fury's definitely solid. Tzeentch does lack for a, 400 cost, like, Hound type unit, like what the other Monogod factions have, or I guess Slaanesh used to have nice cheap light cavalry. They've been a little bit nerfed to where they're now. Well, they were always more mid-tier in terms of performance, but you know what I mean. The Hellstriders kind of fill a similar-ish role of light cavalry. Tzeentch doesn't really have anything of that for melee light cavalry, but the saga of the depth guards slowly coming to an end as they overrun position here and overextend. Gonna get recharged by these screamers to finish them off. They did manage to do some damage. Probably didn't pay for themselves, though. Hard to say. But Tzeentch forces, again, just wanting to come up and try and throw their blue and pink fires to... yeah, I mean, just going up against zombies, I guess, is fine. Getting a little bit of value there. But is this the ROR Chromatic Aberrations that has the ammo refill? No, okay. This is the one with the 360 block. Blue Horrors, that's right. Barrier boost. So their barrier should replenish a little bit faster there. But, yeah, again, both players just kind of hanging back, not really, I mean, it is two kind of infantry skirmish-based armies to a degree, so I would expect the pace of the battle to be more Napoleonic, you might say. But let's see here. Yeah, those pistol mobs are taking some pretty serious damage from the pinks and the blues, but, of course, they're very cheap, especially for the blues who don't have much ammunition. I don't know how cost-effective it is to be throwing their ammo at such a cheap pistol unit, and the pistols can definitely punch back when they get line of sight. That is, if and when they get line of sight, of course. Like here, this pistol mob is able to start tearing into the flank of this Marauder quite effectively due to their high model count. And it's kind of interesting, actually, to compare. I mean, blues are more expensive, and they're definitely more of a hybrid unit. You can see their melee stats are just way better all across the board than the pistol mobs, but yeah, it's interesting to compare these kind of low-tier, very high model count shooting units. Blues are almost more of just a standard infantry with precursor weapons, I would say, given how low their ammo count is, and how their stats are slightly more tilted towards melee, but it's definitely very interesting. Taking a look at the rest of the battle as all this beautiful, colorful fire streaming across the field here. Noctilus getting himself a little bit mixed up in those pinks, and the zombies' assault is ongoing. Of course, the pinks and the blues will continue firing while in melee, but other depth guard here suffering a plague of rust and just getting blasted to smithereens. Pretty painful stuff. So, the pistol mobs firing in. taking some damage. For the Vampire Coast perspective, pretty important, though, that these two deck gunners are still alive and mostly still shooting. Yeah, I actually haven't gotten all that much value yet, at least that one. This one's doing a little bit better. But deck gunners are one of those units, they can be devastating, but they are one of the squishiest units in the entire game, so keeping them alive can be quite tricky. Of course, they do suffer from line of sight issues, as do most gun units in the game. But let's see. Screamers look like they might be moving back to try and silence the guns, while Noctilus just continues grinding through with his zombie horde here. This kind of flank situation with these two healthy pistol mobs firing in to the back of these marauders, or the sides, kind of routes them off. And the fact he has a nice firing density here is pretty important. Both players kind of on their left flank have a good critical mass of missiles, be able to oppose the enemy, and eventually they're going to be brought to bear against each other. But for the time being, I mean, I say that, hopefully they will. For the time being, we're just going to see some summons here. Another pistol mob summon being brought up. You can kind of see from a distance the little clinks of their explosions as they're getting hit by those pistol shots. Let's get in close and watch the beauty unfold. Beautiful, brutal affair. This point-blank shootout between these two units, one being a very cheap summon, one being a relatively expensive hybrid infantry unit, the Exalted Pink Horrors. This is the one that has the ammo refill, which will definitely come in handy if the blues and pinks are able to stay alive, but the counter rush is definitely on right now, and the zombies are doing a great job of kind of blending through. Of course, a lot of it is just meat shields for Noctilus to try and punch also. He's not the greatest combatant at fighting these, more hybrid-type missile units, but he does okay for sure. Not to mention the deck guns. One there still alive after they're able to silence the screamers. Plenty of pistols. I mean, 117 pistols there, 117 pistols there. Beautiful symmetry. And some overcast Searing Doom. Interesting choice. Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of overcasting Searing Doom just because it's so efficient when you just regular cast it. But let's see here. I'm going to see an explosion. Bombardment, I should say, from Noctilus there. A little bit of damage, not much. Takes out a few of the unit models there in the center, but every little bit helps in a close game like this. Deck guns are also... Let's see, who are they firing at? Can't necessarily see who they're targeting. They must just be set to fire at will, but at the very least, can hopefully get some shots on these blazing squealers here. Pink Horrors trying their best to pull away. Kind of kite out the zombie summons a little bit. Of course, Horrors are a good amount faster than zombies, so the best thing for the Tzeentch player to do at this point would be to try and kite. Just use up the rest of their ammunition, refill, and then use up the rest of that ammunition. Focus firing now on Count Noctilus as the Warp Flame contact effect is able to get rid of a bit of his armor, increase his weakness to fire, and it is coming at the cost of getting these blazing squealers killed by zombies, though, which is extremely cost-effective for the Vampire Coast, for sure. So, see another overcast Searing Doom here, and zombies are too slow to avoid the damage, so they are going to get hit pretty heavily by that. But Noctilus just running in a nice little circle here. Plague of Rust, upgraded with the Warp Fire effect, would take him down to only 25 armor, so he definitely needs to try and avoid much of this damage as possible by juking in a very tight little circle here. Actually managing to dodge a hilarious amount of the shots. Some high-level micro right there. Dance Dance Revolution, Noctilus. But there's lots of ammunition, so yeah, the thing is, I guess, though, deck hunters are shooting at this point, long range, and you can see how their shots, we watch up close here, actually penetrate multiple unit models at a time. There we go. On the flank, a few shots fly in. And so they're able to do some pretty substantial damage, even though they've lost a few of their unit models. Looks like we're going to see another Searing Doom. Or, no, the Tzeentch. The big Tzeentch bombardment. I mean, I guess it makes sense. You have it, you might as well use it on something that's reasonably high value or tactically important. Which definitely these deck gunners are, but Yeah, they're done for sure. Their leadership's going to give out. No, yep, they're definitely below in crumbling. But in the meantime, Noctilus and his depth guard. Yeah, the depth guard do have the speed. They're basically the same speed as the horrors, more or less. They're less tired, so they can actually be faster at the moment. And of course, Noctilus has his halberd, which should allow him to match up very well against this Sorcerer Lord. That said, Noctilus has taken quite a bit of damage. He manages to dodge the Bolt of Change there, which would have lowered his armor, and is just trying to keep up, I guess, with his Bloody Reavers, who themselves are desperately trying to catch the Blazing Squealers. They're suffering from crumbling damage, but as long as a few of them are still getting melee attacks, they'll be able to heal ever so slightly. But they actually peel at the last minute. I guess the pistols have the command to finish off the Squealers. And, yeah, they get, like, one attack. Actually, no, the pistols are trying to go after the Lord, which, to a degree, makes sense. Noctilus is going to face another Plague of Rust here. As his armor gets lowered, and he gets hit by that Warp Flame contact effect again. Gets lowered even further. The Blazing Squealers aren't long for this world. Once the pistols focus them down, they're gone in short order. Another overcast Searing Doom does some really nice damage, actually, to these pistols. And a Noctilus Bombardment also did some friendly fire there, but with the Lord of Change, not the Lord of Change, but you know what I mean. Lord of Tzeentch here, being the only one left on the field. It's not much hope for him left, so there it is. Tactical Lich actually has his own YouTube channel. Maybe I'll link it down in the description below. Yeah, he managed just to pull through with a win there. Very, very close game. And Noctilus, of course, being the MVP that he is. The deck gunners, I thought we were going to perform better there, but they actually don't do well at all. In fact, the real carry comes from the pistol mobs, who, being so cheap, kind of helps them fly under the radar, but a couple of them especially get some insane value. I mean, 800 on a pistol mob is just amazing. Absolutely fantastic. And not a bomber in sight definitely makes me happy as a pistol enjoyer as well. Known pistol enjoyer. I haven't played pistoliers as much in Warhammer 2, or Warhammer 3, I have to say, as I did in Warhammer 1 and 2. But it makes me happy to see these pistol mobs doing so well. On the Tzeentch side, yeah, the Marauders, glorified meat shields, pretty much do what they need to in dying reasonably effectively. The pinks and the blues do get quite a bit of value shooting, a little bit inflated from vampire healing, but not by much. But ends up being a super, super close game, so definitely a fun one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that. Hopefully you're hyped for the DLC, or at the very least interested to see what we have to show you, because I definitely am interested to show you. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to subscribe if you're not. Like this video if you found it interesting or informative. Share it with a friend. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.